Good evening, everyone. It's time to start. You're probably aware we've not got the chairman or the vice-chairman here, so we need a nomination for chairman, please.
I'll nominate Councillor Morgan.
Is that seconded? Yes.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome tonight to the Major Applications Planning Committee. A warm welcome to those attending and also those watching on YouTube on the Hillingdon, London site. Details of the business to be considered today is shown on the agenda, copies of which are available and is also accessible online via the live broadcast. We don't have any petitions tonight, so unfortunately, guys in the audience, you can't speak. You can listen. The camera for the YouTube is faced towards the committee and towards the table, so in the audience you're not on YouTube, so you're quite safe there. At the end of the public part of the meeting, we may have part two. I don't think we've got part two, so we're okay on that. If we have a fire alarm, there's no testing intended, so we go through the doors and out following the officers, possibly down the spiral staircase. Our committee members tonight who will be voting, I do not get a vote unless it's a tie, and I'll murder both sides if they do that to me. We have Councillor Stead, Councillor Higgins, Councillor Graham, Councillor Flynn, Councillor Yarrow, and on my left side we have Councillor Curling, Councillor Gardner and Councillor Oswald. Oh, sorry. Apologies. Councillor East. And our officers tonight that are going to be helping us, we have Manmahan Ranger, who's our highways, Alex, Ed Lawton, who's doing the presentation, James, he is our head of James Rogers is our head of planning and enforcement and will advise accordingly. We have Khalid Ahmed, who is our Democratic Services, and finally Nicole Cameron, our legal clerk, who will advise us on anything legal. Okay, anything else? If we now go on to our agenda, first of all, can we have apologies, please?
Yes, Chairman, we've got apologies from Councillor Labour. We've got Councillor Brian Stead as substitute. Apologies from Councillor Catra, Councillor Peter Curling as substitute, and apologies from Councillor John Morse, Councillor Beulah East as substitute. Oh. Janet Duncan. My apologies, Chairman. Okay. Not a great start. Apologies.
I'm normally on mate as chairman. I'm not substituting for anybody on this.
Chairman, apologies. I've got all the substitutes and all the apologies.
Okay, thank you very much. Do we have any declarations of interest for the three items tonight, please? Okay, for the minutes of the previous meeting dated the 3rd of August, are they correct? Agreed. Thank you very much. Now we go on to item 6, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Item 6 on the agenda is a reserved matters application with the sole reserved matter under consideration being landscaping. Consent was granted in May of this year for a 4-storey office building with basement car parking at 4 Newell Road to the north of Heathrow Airport site, just to the south of Bath Road. The principal development has been established by virtue of the original permission. It is considered that the proposed planting along the site's road frontages, which will include 9 semi-mature trees with hedging and ground cover planting beneath, will help to screen the proposed building and create a quality landscape that will complement the adjoining sites. So I can just take members through the plans. Here's the site. You can see Bath Road along here, and below is Heathrow. The plans aren't great. They're not showing up particularly well. Here's the basement plan. What I'd like to point out here is the electric parking spaces, which run along here, and that's in line with policy. And there are some more electric vehicle parking spaces here and some more here. And these are the 9 trees along the Bath Road frontage. There's more landscaping down to the south. These are the disconnected services for the site. I apologise for the quality of the plans at the moment. Here's an aerial view shot of the site, and here's some photographs showing the state of the site at the moment prior to the office building. The proposed landscaping scheme has been reviewed by the Council's principal landscape architect, who raises no objection to the proposed landscaping layout, nor the landscape maintenance proposals or planting specification. Heathrow Airport has been consulted on the application and their comments are still awaited. Members will note there are no addendum items with this application. It is recommended that, subject to no objections being received from Heathrow Airport Limited, that approval should be granted. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Okay, we have no petitions on this one, so it's open to the floor, guys. Who's going to take me forward? Councillor Graham?
Yes, Chairman. As has been made clear, this is a reserved matter concerning landscaping. It's considered clearly that the landscaping scheme for this site would make a suitable contribution to the enhancement of the Bath Road frontage, and is acceptable. As has been said, we are waiting to see if there are any objections from Heathrow Airport, but in the absence of that, I'm happy to go with the officer's recommendation.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Oswald.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chairman. Yeah, likewise, I'm happy to second that. I'm quite pleased with this report. It certainly stacks up, especially with the electric charging and the disabled parking spaces and 8 motorcycle bays. You know, there you go. So, yeah, I'm happy to second the officer's recommendation, Chairman.
Thank you. Have we got any other views or comments on this, guys? No? Okay, well, we have a proposal, we have recommended by Councillor Graham and seconded by Councillor Oswald. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you very much. Item 7, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Item 7 on the agenda is an application for the erection of 2 new units on the site to the west of the new Asda supermarket in Hayes. It is proposed that Unit 3 will provide a new outlet supplying building materials to registered trade and business customers. Unit 4 would be occupied by a coach hire company and would become their new London base. The building will predominantly be used for the repair, maintenance and cleaning of their coach fleet, together with ancillary office accommodation. If I can just take members through the plans. Here is the site, the constraints plan showing the IBA. Here is the new Asda supermarket. This is the layout of the site with the 2 buildings with parking and coach parking. This is the overall landscape plan broken down into sections. Internal ground floor plan of Unit 3. Unit 3 roof plan showing the photovoltaic panels and proposed elevations. As members see, it's an industrial building in an industrial location. This is Unit 4, again photovoltaic panels with proposed elevations, perspective views. Here's a bird's eye view of the site showing Asda here, and photographs of the site as is at the moment. The site forms part of a preferred industrial location in the London Plan and part of an IBA in the adopted local plan. Therefore, the principle of light industrial and storage and distribution use are deemed appropriate. In addition, planning permission was granted at appeal on the wider site for a mixed-use development comprising an industrial commercial unit and retail store. As such, with a retail store built, there is an extant permission for an industrial use on the remaining part of the site. The layout, design, landscaping, parking and access to the proposals have all been reviewed and are considered acceptable. Members will note there are a number of addendum items with this application, including a correction to the energy strategy version, a correction to the wording of condition 3, the removal of a landscaping section of condition 4, and tightening of the wording of condition 5 to control the use of the units.
If I can just come in and explain the slightly more complicated bit of the addendum sheet which relates to section 106 contributions. So agenda items 7 and 8 are actually adjacent to each other, and both would have impacts on a similar section of the highway network, and both were in the air quality management area. So what we were looking from both developers was a £50,000 contribution towards highway improvements and to help address air quality issues as well in the surrounding area. We have had dialogue since the committee report was published with the developer behind item 7. This is the one we're discussing now, unit 3. Initially they did challenge the £50,000 contribution, but we've subsequently agreed between ourselves and the developer a £30,000 contribution. Now the reason we have done that, and the reason it's a different contribution from item 8, is there is some relevant planning history on item 7. So there is a previous permission on this site, and the developer did pay a £20,000 contribution towards air quality. So the very simple maths is that we have deducted that £20,000 contribution that's already been paid. So the addendum sheet basically is altering the recommendation on item 7 to 30,000, and for self-explanatory reasons we won't be altering the addendum for item 8. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Okay. Councillor Higgins.
I'll move this forward and go with officer's recommendation on this, including the addendum.
Councillor Curling. Okay. Any other views, comments? All those in favour? Again, unanimous. Thank you very much. Item 8.
Thank you, Chairman. Item 8 on the agenda is an application for full planning permission for the redevelopment of Plot 6, Rackspace City, which is currently a vacant site to the north of the previous item on the agenda and the new Asda store in Hayes. The proposal is to provide a 150-bedroom Premier Inn hotel. The building would be 4 stories in height, with a single-storey element containing the kitchens and restaurant. I'll take members through the proposed plans. So here's the site, and this was the previous site we just discussed with Asda here. Here's the constraints plan showing the location in the IBA. These are the buildings adjacent, and this is the proposed scheme. So there's parking at ground level with buildings above. So it's a hotel layout, as you would expect. And here's some visuals of the proposal. It's a bird's eye view and some photographs of the site. And then we have some CGI images of what the building would look like. Whilst the site is within a designated industrial and business area, in this instance officers are of the view that the applicant has provided sufficient justification, including provision of a sequential test, such that no objection are raised to the principal development in this location. The car park would provide 75 car parking spaces, including 8 disability spaces and 1 coach parking bay. 11 cycle storage spaces would be provided, and 8 car parking spaces would be provided with electric vehicle charging points, with another 8 spaces provided with passive charging bays. The layout and design are considered appropriate in this location, and no objections have been raised by the Council's access officer. The impact of the development on residential occupiers to the north is also deemed acceptable, with the distance between the buildings in line with policy. Members will note there are 3 addendum items with this application. The first is a correction to cycle parking numbers. The second is a change to the timescale for landscaping details from 3 months to 6 months in condition 7. And finally, to add a sentence to condition 16 to allow greater flexibility in terms of justifying parking allocation for hotel use. I would also suggest verbally that we amend condition 7 to include the text and the provision of 3 motorcycle parking spaces at 2B. In conclusion, for the reasons summarised, it is recommended that approval should be granted. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Okay, who would like to take me forward? Councillor Higgins.
I found it a bit of a parrot. I'd just like to move the officers' recommendations, including the addendum.
Councillor Oswald.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chairman. Yeah, I think it's a good fit. And what this will do is it will give us another pub restaurant because we've lost one of the local pubs there for good. And as other places of that sort of use are closing down all over the place, I think this is a good fit, not just for the pub, but I think it's a good fit there. I do think it's a good fit, and I'm quite happy to second the officer's recommendation.
Thank you very much. Before we take the vote, are there any other comments? No? Okay. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you very much. That is the last of our items, and meeting closed at 18:16. Thank you.
Yeah.